The number of Americans filing for unemployment benefits decreased last week, perhaps signaling the U.S. economy is slowly trending in the right direction. According to the Labor Department, 881,000 people filed for jobless aid. That is about 130,000 fewer claims than the previous week. It's also the lowest number of claims the country has seen since mid-March. For more, let's bring in Rick Newman. He's a senior columnist at Yahoo Finance. Rick, welcome. Thank you so much for being with us. Break this down for us, if you could. Do these numbers today serve as an adequate sign of how the overall economy is doing, or what do they actually indicate?
It tells us that we're seeing gradual improvement from week to week, but it doesn't make a lot of sense at this point to do these week by week or even month by month comparisons that we would do in normal times, because the whole economy is just so out of whack. So broad picture, so yes, we're seeing an improvement in the labor market, but those initial claims for unemployment insurance from today, that level is still 4 times higher than it was a year ago. So, and these are people who are just filing for unemployment insurance for the first time. So that means they lost their job recently. Overall, we went from about 5.8 million unemployed people before the coronavirus pandemic exploded. That's the number from February. And now that number is 16.3 million. So we have more than 10 million Americans newly unemployed during the last 6 months or so. It used to be worse than that. We have regained about 1/3 of the jobs that we lost since March, but we're in a big hole and we still have a long way to go before we climb out.
And Rick, it is worth noting the total number of people claiming benefits in all unemployment insurance programs for the week ending August 15th was just over 29 million. That is an increase of 2 million. So what comes to your mind when you hear these numbers?
This is a bad recession. And the question all summer has been, we've seen a lot of temporary layoffs. Thanks to things like the PPP, the Paycheck Protection Program, the fiscal stimulus plan that was supposed to keep people on the payroll even if there wasn't work to do. So one of the big questions is, are these temporary layoffs going to become permanent? And unfortunately, a lot of them are becoming permanent. Many economists say we really do need new stimulus out of Washington because so many businesses just can't reopen. So, as we sort of move along on this, we're seeing a real dichotomy in different sectors of the economy. So we know the sectors that are getting crushed and still are. It's leisure and hospitality, restaurants, bars, retail, and travel. Those sectors, that's where the majority of the job losses are, and those jobs are just not coming back very quickly. The odd thing is that other parts of the economy are generally doing just fine. I mean, some retailers like Home Depot and Lowe's are doing great because people are remodeling their homes. People are buying certain types of products, information technology, other types of technology doing great. So this is the K-shaped recovery that some economists have been talking about. I never heard of a K-shaped recovery before this recession, but we seem to have one where some people are getting back to normal and a lot of others are just sinking.
And it's interesting how it's affecting sort of overall productivity, because the Labor Department said Thursday hours worked in the U.S. fell by nearly 43%, which is contributing to a 37% decline in output. What do you make of those kinds of numbers?
I mean, that is consistent with all the lost jobs we know about. And, there some of these normal measurements of what's going on in the economy, like productivity and also wage growth, they're just out of whack because when you lose a lot of people in the economy, in a way that makes productivity actually goes up because, and we're actually seeing that in manufacturing, for example, where manufacturing output is going up, but manufacturers are not hiring people back yet. So their output there is actually improving. In the service sector, it's the other way around. That output is not coming back. And then strangely, wage growth has been strong. But the reason for that is that the layoffs have disproportionately affected lower paid workers. So lower income workers are the ones losing most of the jobs, which means of the people who are left, they tend to have higher pay on average. So that makes it look like pay is going up, but it's not. It's just we're just losing more of the lower income workers than the higher income workers.
All the indicators are wacky these days. All right. Well, Rick Newman, thank you so much for your time. It was so great.